We are live. Mark the guitar guy is still alive here in New Zealand. And we are about to have an amazing session hanging out with you guys. We've got 5 people watching already. That's a good start. And I'm going to be doing some stuff on soloing today. So soloing, extra stuff to do with soloing today. If you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate, doesn't matter where we're at, we're going to do some soloing as well. So I'm not always known as a soloing guy because I'm more of an acoustic guitar sort of known for that, but soloing is one of my favorite things to teach, and it's the thing I have the most success with, believe it or not, because I teach people how to do it really easily, I guess is the best way to do it. And there's lots of ways of approaching soloing, so it's not right or wrong the way you've learned or the way I'm doing it. It's just one way of doing it. So let's have a little bit of fun and then play some soloing amongst playing. So I'm just going to play a little bit of guitar, do a little bit of soloing amongst it, and then have a bit of fun, and then we're going to show you how to do some of this stuff. So please, please, please let me know where you are calling from. I'm going to make sure that my wife she's downstairs. She's just got me a coffee. She's amazing. And because I needed a second coffee this morning. It's great. It looks like it's a branded cup, but it just says Mark, and it's one of those cups we got from a novelty shop. So people asking about that one. So yes, so let me know whereabouts you are. Paul, excellent, good to see you, brother. Back again, nice to see you. So yes, let me know whereabouts in the world you're calling from, and then I've got my folders thing is all over the place at the moment. So there we are, comments. Awesome. Wow, look at you guys. Can we hear some Kiwi tunes? You got some awesome stuff going on there. Gary Julius, Youngstown, Ohio. Yeah, let me know whereabouts you're watching from. Hello there from the mighty Tron. Nice one. Cheers, Ryan. Guns, High Guns from Milan, Italy. All right. Italy, it's cool. It sounds exotic. Sounds so exotic when I do these lessons. So what I'm going to do is a bit of soloing now. Let's have some fun. And then we'll explain a bit of this stuff. Alec from Cyprus. So. Nice little pretty thing to start with, isn't it? And then I'll do just a bit more soloing just to give you guys an idea of some stuff we're going to be looking at. And I just pick a key and go for it. Let's see. What's another interesting key that we haven't done much of before? Let's do D minor maybe. It's D minor, right? So let's go. I just like the sound of this, so I'm going to do it. This is not a song I'm just jamming on some nice chords. So a lot of people wonder, how did you just do that, Mark? I'm sure you guys are asking that. A lot of times people do that, and both of those things I made up. Maybe there's something I've played before I kind of had an idea that those chords would work together from years of experience. And the other reason is because I know scales. And when I say I know scales, they're in my fingers. I can feel where those notes are on the guitar is probably a nicer way to put it, because I've played them so many times and I've trained myself to do that so that I can kind of just pick out stuff and be like, oh, I think that note's going to be there. Now, we're all at different levels of, as I hold my cup, I need another sip. So beautiful, I forgot my question. Thanks, Joanne. So, yeah, so we're all at different levels of skill, right? So skill is all over the show. Thanks, guys. Actually got a lot of people watching already in the morning for my little channel. It's pretty awesome. So, getting uniquely extra here from Washington, D.C. area. Awesome. I'll try not to stop talking and get back into that stuff. So here we are. We're going to be doing the scales. We're going to learn scales, but most people learn scales when we do soloing, and that's the key. It's part of the key, okay? It's part of the key. Yes, you do need to learn scales, but we don't need to learn every scale. So, because first we go, oh, I need to learn scales. So we learn every single scale that actually exists. And so I might just turn that bright light down a bit. It's showing up every imperfection in my face, which is not good. Oh no, now it's only showing some of them. Good. So what we want to be doing is sticking with one scale shape whenever you learn, okay? So the biggest thing that you can get out of today, if you've never done soloing or scales, is learn one, like just a pentatonic shape, which is a smaller shape, it's not the full shape, and get really good at that. So if you're a beginner, that's where I'd start. Get one scale down. If you're more advanced, then pick a more advanced scale. So pick a scale that's maybe got more notes in it, or two scales that are together, and that's what I would be practicing for a whole week. I wouldn't be getting off those scales, until I'm so bored of that scale. That's when you want to get off that scale shape, okay? So if I gave an example, so I'm a bit more advanced. So if I gave an example of a scale shape, right? And I'm going to do like a major scale shape. So for beginners out there, don't worry about this too much. It looks a bit kind of crazy, the scale I'm going to do. It's like a 3-note scale on each string, which I quite like because they make me play differently. So this is for advanced people, but the idea, the concept is for beginners as well. So if I had a scale shape that was going with an A major, right? So I'm A here, just because it's in the middle of the guitar and it's easy for you guys to look at. In fact, I'll put the desk down a little bit so you guys can see that. So A major scale shape, the notes I'm going to be doing is, I'm stretching my hand here for this scale shape, but I'll play the scale shape first in its entirety and you'll hear the A major sound. Lots of notes, right? Way too many notes if I'm learning a scale shape. It's like way too many notes to actually get good. But if I've got, now this is a different, like major scale, this A major scale is all sorts of different ways of playing an A major scale. You don't have to do the 3-finger per note version. I like this version personally as an advanced scale shape because it gives me more options on the same string, and it covers a little bit more of the guitar, but it also means I can get across and do some interesting things. So I can jump around the place a little bit more and jump to, I can do across the guitar, and I can just find notes that for me excite me because they weren't what I expected, because normal scales kind of go up and down, like, and most scale people, when they do a solo, that kind of thing, which is fine, right? We're going up and down a scale shape, and most people be happy with that. But then after a few years of me playing, I get bored of knowing where those notes are up and down the ladder, which is like going up and down a ladder, back down, going up and down the ladder. So I like jumping around it a bit, like that every now and again, just like. So there's notes in there that just like notes that interest me. They might not be great at the time, but they just go ooh, ooh, ooh for me. So so this is why I wanted to show you guys, because if I was practicing a scale, and I've got a scale that's quite hard for me to play here, and it's a bit of a challenge, the natural thing for most of you to do is to play the full scale all the way to the bottom and then all the way back, right? Doesn't matter what scale shape, guys, so don't worry about what I'm doing, but just the ones that we are doing anytime. It's pentatonic scale shape, first scale shape you've ever learned. Minor scale, major scale, full scale, blue note scales. So we learn it and we map it out. That's fine. We map it out. Go, oh, if it was the first time I've played it, oh, there they are. I've got all those notes. Okay, they seem to work and I kind of like the way they sound. This is my mind going, right? And okay, now I need to solo to something. So onto YouTube, find a backing track, and then get basic backing track if you want to do an advanced one, if you're more advanced, something a bit more interesting going on. In the key, find the key, and in this case we're in A major. We can, just because I've got my A note here and I can put my scale on, we put the A backing track on. Let's say the backing track's let's say it's just doing that, just an A, G, or you've got a looper and just hit the looper, just make a nice little groove, just 3 chords, nice and simple. And then and what I'm doing is playing and trying to make it musical straight away. So how do we do that? So making it musical straight away, what I would recommend is we limit the amount of notes we're going to use. So if I was to begin on the scale and I wanted to start getting good at the beginning part of the scale, so starting up at the bass note, I'd be picking, I'd get about that far. To be honest, if I was very first day doing this, I'd probably just do this. Like, sounds like something from Dave Matthews Band when I did that. I just get good at getting all those notes and trying to jump around them to get them in the subconscious mind. And I attack it from every angle. So I'm coming from the angle of like being, from being up, working my way up and then working my way back down, jumping across random notes. So I'm going from the 6th string to the 5th string, a random note on the 5th, from the little finger notes in my 2nd finger, and it's really advanced for this scale shape. Let's take that concept now for pentatonic scale. So let's say I'm doing I'm doing A major here, and then I'm doing the A major pentatonic scale shape. Let's say I'm doing the 2nd shape of the A major pentatonic shape, which is this one here. So this is the one where I've got 2nd finger, and I start from, that's how I like to do it, the bass note. And if I did this, I'd be going A major, I've got 5, 7, I'll give you the scale shape, 4, 7, 4, 7 again, 4, 6, then it's going to be, you can either use your 2nd finger or you can slide over the 1st finger. We're going to go 5, 7, 5, 7. It's an ugly shape, the 2nd shape, guys. I will admit the 2nd shape is ugly, really ugly. Meaning it's not nice for the hand. It's nice to listen to, but it's got some weird positionings for the fingers, and it's different. But you know, depending on who you are, you might do 2nd finger, little finger. Like I've trained that up, but when it comes to soloing, I don't like doing that. I can do it now, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. But I'd rather put my 1st finger there instead, and then use my strong fingers. That means I can bend and do all sorts of crazy stuff. So those are the notes. So there's the whole scale shape, a major scale shape. And let's say I'm sick of the 1st pentatonic shape. I've decided to do the 2nd scale pentatonic shape. I'm in the key of A major, so that means I can put the scale right there on top of it. There's my scale shape. Now I know I've mapped that out now. Let's say I'm going to practice it. Right, first day, I would do, let's say I'm going to pick 3 strings. I'm just going to pick the bottom 3 notes. You can start anywhere when you're learning this. Just want to cover the whole scale shape. And then you've got of that note there. So I'd probably just do the 6 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'd just get really good at doing that. So you got, let's say the backing track's this. Just A and D. Just A and D over and over. Or if I'm doing basic chords, A, D. Loop that, or chuck it, or find a backing track with it in the key of A, and then we're going to solo. Here we go. So bottom 2 strings. Now I've done this before, so I'm getting it accurate and I'm not making any mistakes, and it sounds musical straight away. But this is what I want you to start. So when you start, you'll probably sound, if you've never done it, probably sound like this, like, here's the groove, and it's like, which is fine. And then maybe a slide. Oh wow, slide worked cool. You know, this is how you start out, and then it just starts sounds kind of basic, but it still sounds cool. Nothing wrong with it. All those notes work. Same notes I was using, nothing more special. And then you start dancing better. So we just start adding in some things. I've got that question there on. I'll just get back to you and just finish this little idea off. So you'd add in the pentatonics. You got your pentatonics. You'd add in your hammer-ons. You'd add in your slides, your pull-offs. So slides, you might be just in the same position. Don't go anywhere else. You're still in the key of A. You still got 6 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reason we want to take bite-sized chunks out of your scale shapes is because your subconscious is not going to remember the whole scale shape in a row straight away. And plus, when it comes to soloing, there's too much choice. It's like opening a pantry and every food is in there, and you want to make a meal. It might be convenient, but your creativity is kind of, I don't know there's too many choices. I can't make a decision. Whereas if you've only got a can of spaghetti and some bread and a little bit of butter, and there's a few other random ingredients, you can kind of go, well, spaghetti on toast it is, my go-to. So you can kind of put it together that way. So limit yourself with the notes within a scale shape. And I'd spend a lot of time on that until you're bored, and then go to the next group of 3 strings. So like for this example, we use the bottom 3 strings. So if we call that the string 1, 2, and 3, and then the strings, the next time I'd practice would be 2, 3, and 4. So you've got those notes in a group. So I haven't just jumped completely off those strings, because we need to mesh all those strings together and how they feel under the fingers for the subconscious. And this is how we get good at soloing, because we can hear these notes. We've played it before, but because we've done it lots of times, and our subconscious is able to go, oh, that's just on the other string. That kind of thing. So anyway, sorry, there was some questions there, and I will answer some questions, and then we can get more into that sort of stuff as well. I'm going to bring the desk back up. Ryan Anderson, hey Mark, wondering how to determine the key of a song while soloing over rhythm guitar playing with a capo. Good question. So I do have a capo. Where did I put it? Here it is. Oh, there's capos everywhere now. I can see there's about 37 capos in this room. So let's say, say for example, you've got a capo here, and I'll put the capo on 3, right, on the 3rd fret, and I'm playing in, let's say I'm playing the key with like G shapes. Let's say, I guess the way to put this would be, the problem that you're trying to solve would be you're jamming with someone, or you're by yourself with a capo, and you're trying to figure out the key of the song. That's the way to do it, right? Now there's lots of ways of figuring this out to determine the key. Cool, there's the question, Ryan. Keep that up there, Nikita, because that's awesome, because I can refer to it in case I go all over the show. So determining the key of the song. Well, the best way I would do it is finding the root note on, like I say here, we've got a song, the capo's on 3, the chords are, let's say the chords are G and C, and then D. Like the shape is this. So I'm just doing something like that. Well, so usually, a lot of the times with basic songs, more contemporary songs, the first chord will be the key. In this case, this first chord, I'm playing a G shape, but a capo is here. But so we need to figure out what that note is. So the way I would do it, I would look at what fret that is, and I'd ignore the capo on that bass note here. My bass note with my second finger playing that G note, which would normally be the bass note of this chord, right? So the bass note of that chord in this case is this, what would be the 6th fret, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th fret. So if we took the capo away, what would that note be? So that note would be, for those people out there, if you want to have a crack, 6th fret, top string, write it in the chat if you're quick enough. And that note there would be a, drum roll, either an A sharp, or more commonly known as a B flat. So that would be a B flat. B flat, and it's a major chord I'm playing here, so therefore it will be a B flat major. So if I took my capo away, let's test that out. I'm going to put a bar chord on the B flat. Here's my B flat on the 6th fret. put my bar here and my normal major bar chord shape, which would be I call it the E shape bar chord, the classic bar chord. That's the chord. And that gives you your key for the song. So that we're in B flat major in this case. Now, there's many things variables that can change that key, but in this case, it sounds like it's going to be in B flat major, in which case, if I didn't have a capo, it sounds like it's going to work. And then if I put the capo back on, I can even do that pentatonic scale in there as well. So that's one example. Let's do another example. So I'm going to put the capo up on, let's go the crazy fret, 6th fret, okay? And I'm doing, let's say I'm doing an A chord shape. And then, so I'm just doing A and D, right? A-D shapes. I'm doing a funny version of an A shape because that's how I naturally do my A's now. Very lazy, 2 fingers, but 3 fingers, it's quite hard to squeeze that in there now, isn't it? So 2-finger version. And so what would that be? So we do the same concept. For the bass note for the A chord, right? This very first chord is going to be right where the capo is. Would normally be the open position. So it's the 5th string on that fret, which is this. Once again, it's the 6th fret. Happened to be the 6th fret for this one. So the 6th fret on the A string, if I take my capo off, that note there is going to be A, C, D, E. It's an E. It's an E flat, isn't it? There's my E note. There's an E flat. There's D, or it's a D sharp. E flat, D sharp, same thing. So I'm an E flat, and that was an A major, so it's an E flat major. So E flat major for that particular key. So if you've got someone jamming with you, it's quite handy, like a bass player, and you might have a capo on. Let's say your capo's on 2, and you're doing C shape. Right? You're doing something in the key of your key of C, and the bass player's playing along, and they don't know what the notes are, and you think, oh, C. But actually, if you took the capo away, that note there is a D note. That's my bass note there. So this is kind of the way to think about it. Take the capo off, leave your note on. What would it be if there was no capo, that particular note? So it helps to know the names of the notes on the top string and the string below that particularly. So hopefully that helps, Ryan. Big question and a big thing to solve, but we do need to do a lot of some actual lessons around that so that you guys can understand that, because it is a cool question. Sean, good morning from across the pond. Oh, nice, mate. From Australia, are we? Which pond? It could be the other pond. Rob and Angie, 777. Hi from North, with always Australian names, eh? Wonthaggi, North Wonthaggi, Australia. And shout out to my wife's hometown, Dunedin, New Zealand. Oh, nice. Dunedin, the little Edinburgh. Wee Edinburgh from down in Scotland. You'd be in here, New Zealand here. Love New Zealand. It's a great place to visit if you've ever been there. We are actually moving in 3 weeks time too, guys. So it's going to be interesting doing the live streams from a new location. Uniquely extra. I'm a beginner, currently studying all the notes on the fretboard, which I believe is important. Is it? Yeah. So I'm lazy. And this is a really probably controversial thing for some people, because there's some people, the purists, like, you must learn every single note at any point and just be able to recall it. And I don't believe that, because as guitar, and now there is an outlier for this, and that's if you read sheet music. So not tab, but if you read sheet music. Reading sheet music, yeah, you do need to know all the names of the notes all the time, because that's literally how you figure out where the notes are. But if you're like me and lazy and you kind of map the guitar out in a different way, more of a visual way, then learning the top 2 strings is really important, and because we can reverse engineer any other note from there. And I'll give you a quick demo of this. I'm just going to put the desk back down again so you can see a little bit better. So let's say we just did the top string, learned the top notes on the top string, right? So we've just learned the main notes, by the way. Don't learn the sharps and flats. We don't need to, because a sharp is telling you that it's higher by 1 fret, and a flat is telling you it's lower by 1 fret. So we don't need to know, let's necessarily then go, oh, that's a G sharp and it's an A flat. We don't need to say that. We just learn the main notes. So the E, F, G, A, B, C, D, top string done. And then we'd learn that, not in that order, by the way. You don't want to learn it in order. You want to learn it map it out like we did the scales, and then jump around the place. So it'd be like D, A, B, C, G. I'm just doing it that way to make it look easy, by the way. I would normally do it like this. G, there's an A, there's an F, there's an B, E, B, C, A. This is not how we would do it initially, but you would memorize a part of it, memorize a little bit more, memorize the whole lot. One string, it's all we need to start with. Once you've got that, we can do octaves. So let's say there's a note here on the 5th fret I'm playing, that A. If I do the octave, the octave is, in this case, it's 2 strings away, 2 frets away. So I'm 2 strings down, there's 2 strings, next string, and 2 frets. So that note there is also an A. So technically, I can reverse engineer any note on this string once I've learnt the top string. Because if I played, like say I played this note here, I know that my octave is here, so it's a B. So that's a B note. That's the way I would do it. Now if I go back to my A example, here's my A, here's my octave. Now the next octave, if I put my first finger back on that note now, so I'm back on the 7th fret on the A, on the 4th string, my next octave is 2 strings away, 3 notes away, which is this shape, so it's going to be here. So we've got this octave, this version of an octave, and we've got this little bit more wider version of an octave. And then we can reverse engineer any note on that string also. Sounds confusing, but if you've learnt both those top 2 strings, that means we have the same rules apply. So, for example, if I do a note here on the D note, which is on the A string here, next string down, the octave is the same. There's my octave, and if I go to that octave, that note, and then I've got the same distance for the next octave. So the next octave is slightly wider apart. It's quite a physical way of doing it. It means there's a little bit of a delay trying to figure out a note, but I can just pick a note anywhere and be like, what note's that? So I just reverse engineer. Oh, it's a C sharp. That's how I would do that. Because usually it's more, what's that note as the question, in which case we can figure that out and answer it, as opposed to, can you play me a C sharp note, if that makes sense. And the other thing is, if you've learnt the top string, it means you've also got that string sussed. So that means once you've learnt the top 2 strings, you've technically got 3 strings memorized. Then we only need to figure out the notes of the other 3, and that's usually done by formula. So it's a long-winded way of saying that, but I don't really believe, I've never come across a situation where I wish I'd learnt every single name of the note. I've played in just about every situation there's been. I've played in orchestras. I mean, I've played in swing bands. I've played in blues bands, Latin bands, big bands where they're handing out charts. I've played in bands where it's just like jamming amongst each other. And very rarely is there a situation where I wished I'd learnt every single note. Most of the time I've come across just by bass notes only. And that gets you through all your chord shapes and that sort of stuff. If you're a jazz guitarist, would be probably another one. Hey, no worries. No worries, uniquely extra. Makes a lot of sense on what to study. The notes on the low, nice one, cool. Yeah, so if you are a jazz guitarist, you might want to learn those other ones. So it's my wife has just put that. My wife's just learned something by the look of it, which is pretty cute. So wow, I didn't know that. My mind has just been blown. That is so cool. Love, wifey. Thank you, Nikita. See, she's learning by watching these streams. That's how good it is. George James, this is exactly how I learned the note. Brilliant. So it works, right, James? George James. Sorry, you got 2 first names in the same name, so I couldn't figure out which one it was. My dyslexia got stuck in there. And you might notice my voice is a little bit lower than normal, which is probably a good thing. But I did have my first gig in a long time just this weekend, which was so much fun. A place called Bamboo Tiger in Nelson. And it was a lot of fun. Just me playing and slamming out songs, getting the whole audience singing along. And it was a wonderful time. I think people are really hanging out to get out and be together and celebrate and sing songs together. And it's kind of cool. Andrew Marriott, good to see you again. Morning, Mark. Sorry I got here late. Yes, no apology. That's all right. I was checking to see if you were there, Andrew, but it's good to see you there. And you're one of my regulars, mate. So, never trust a person with 2 first names. Good on you, George. So yeah, soloing, and that's being the main theme of what we're talking about. Learning the names of the notes is very important for that. You've got to know the key, and therefore that puts the scale shape in the right position. So this is the way to think about it. If you learn one scale shape, especially the pentatonics, it makes it even easier because most of the, or all the notes are going to work. You've just got to put that in the right place. So you just need to know what the key is and understand your scale shape so that you can put that scale shape in a way that works, because you can use that for major or minor. So you just put the same scale shape in a slightly different position, and that gives you an opportunity to solo. So soloing, you want to keep really simple. You want to stick to scales you already understand, because otherwise you're going to get lost and make mistakes. Because the guitar is an awkward, like the way it's tuned, it's an awkward thing to, it's not obvious. Like a piano is laid out beautifully, probably one of the most well laid out instruments in the world. The way it's very obvious, the low notes are on the left hand and they go lower, and the notes go higher on the right. They're all in order. You can see the flats and the sharps. You can see, which are the black keys. You can see all the it's just really, really beautifully laid out. So it makes it quite simple. There's still challenges with piano, but with guitar, we've got different tuning is not even across the strings. So we have these weird places where we've got to find another group of notes for the next string. So it is a bit of an awkward thing to do. So just learn one scale shape, get really good at it. Get good at it in every situation. So I'm going to give you a few tips for that. And then once you've got that, by the way, once you've got that, so you're bored, learn the scale shape next door. Meaning there's 5 scale shapes generally on the neck, which map out the whole guitar. So learn the one on the left of the scale shape. So we always talk about the first pentatonic shape. So let's say I'm in B, 7th fret, it's B. And there's my pentatonic scale shape. And there's one below it, right? So the one below it is this one right here. So it's got, if I did like that scale shape, I'd be 5, 7, 5, 7. This is the tab. 4, 7, 4, 7, and then 5, 7, 5, 7. Real simple looking shape, but not necessarily easy to use for soloing, but all the time. But it's cool to have it, and it's cool to have it next door to the first major minor pentatonic scale. There's my minor pentatonic in B minor, my first one, and I would call that the 5th scale shape, the one below it, because that's the last one. It backs on to this scale shape, and then I would learn the two together. That's what I would do there. And so I'd be like, okay, I'm really good at these 2 scale shapes. Now I'm going to try and combine them. So I might be. See how I slid down to the other shape? Slide back up. Make it musical the whole time. Now I haven't gone anywhere other than the top 4 strings in this case. So that gives you another clue. Stick with 2 or 3 strings. With a backing track, so you've got a groove going, and this is going to lead me on to the next point. Now, all these things I want you to combine when it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or advanced. Keep all these things in mind, and we can add them on like a tool that we use for every scale shape we ever learn. Don't make things too confusing. One scale shape, get good at it. If you've done that one, get another one down so you get good at the next scale shape. Next thing is to get good at the 2 together. It's not the 3rd scale shape. Most people go onto the 3rd scale shape, but they haven't actually figured out how to link the first 2 scale shapes together and find a way to get through them together. So that's the next step. The next step on top of that is the backing tracks. So when you've got the backing tracks going, what you want to be looking for is the groove of the song. Now, I did a video recently called about TikTok and body rock. So we've already got a TikTok. If you're a Mark the Guitar Guy listener, you've got right there. And if you're not, you need to subscribe. But over here, you've got this TikTok going in the right hand. TikTok, TikTok. They've got this going, right? That's the TikTok part. So you need to be doing that while you're soloing, like. So my TikTok is constant. So if the groove is, if that's the groove, then I can be. So it sounds a bit ugly to start with because you can hear the chicka chicka thing going on, right? But it's to get that TikTok really good, and then you can pull the TikTok out but still have it. So you, instead of being in the strings, it's just out to the side of the strings slightly, so it's off the guitar. Really hard to see, but I'm in the strings and I'll just pull it out a fraction. My little finger pushes off the guitar a bit here, and I'll push off a little bit. You can hear the wood. And then you're just adding notes in there. So tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. So that goes on. Then we've got body rock. So body rock, the head can nod on the main beats of the song. So my tick tock's going one ear, my tick tock's going tucka, 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 tuck. And then my halftime feel is happening in my head where the main beats are of the song. The 1, 2, 3, 4. My head is nodding down strokes down for the 1 and back for the up. So I'm like 1 and 2, 3 and 4. That's my head. Another thing you can do is put your foot, tap your foot with that. So part of your body needs to rock. So you got tick tock and the body rock. Sean, sometimes you need the ugly to make the sweet stand out. Oh, nice. That's what I try to think about with my face when I'm doing my morning routine. I'm like, good, there's a good amount of ugly there. Just need to do the hair right. That's how I think about it. So the tick tock is in there. Body rock is head. Body could fully rock if you're standing. And if you're sitting, just tap your foot, and it can be a heel, it can be a toe, it doesn't really matter. It can be left foot, right foot. And that's trying to do the timing for the whole song. So you're doing the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, body, the tick tock doing tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick. Now we've got this human metronome happening, and that's you listening to the song. And every note you play should be somewhere in that. So the tick tock will give you all the notes to play, all the beats there, every opportunity, every spot where you could potentially play. So if we're doing that, I'm going, so here's my groove, tick it, tick it, tick it, okay? All my beats will be on there. I'll slow it down a little bit. So any note that happens on an uppy, or 1 E and a 2 E and a, the E's and the ands, 1 E and a, the E's and A's are going to be upstrokes, like 1 E and a 2, no, that kind of thing. Or I could start on an upstroke. That's where you get the funky stuff. So my tick tock's going on there. Upstrokes owner. On stroke. So you can hear the funkiness of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That was an upstroke start there. So, and it takes a long time to get, it takes some concentration to get this going. You might just start with the downstrokes, like just be like 2, 3, and then you might start bodies tick-tocking everyone, right? Seriously, this is probably the biggest thing that I find with my students. If I can get them tick-tock and body rocking with the same stuff they already know, and they might just know 5 notes that work together in a song, in a scale, and it can just be like that. Let's say it's those are there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes that they've got. Then you can actually make that musical as long as you're putting it on the beat. Now, if I don't put it on the beat, I'll give you an example without it. There's no music behind there. Like you can hear, I'm just playing notes in an order, and it's kind of, this might sound how you practice, right? Oh. Like it's quite an interesting note choice. Let's face it, it's actually quite a good note choice, but there's no groove there. You're not listening to this going, oh, where's the, but there's the groove there. If there's a groove, now if I give you a totally different groove, here's a groove. See, there's a groove there, da da dum dun, and you could kind of start. Oh, I think there's a groove there. You could start da 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 da. So there's a 3/4 groove there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can hear that in my soloing. That's the difference between professional and amateur. Now, if that's all it takes to be professional, it's worth getting that down. I know you're learning scale shapes. That's cool. Learn scale shapes, but do it the whole time trying to bring in this concept of the timing, and you will sound so good. Like I did this just the other day. We had a family funeral, which was really cool to catch up with everybody down in Christchurch. Met some new people, and there's some guitarists amongst them, and so we were jamming. And then I taught them that concept because they were really good guitar players. They were metal guys, into metal big time, and they were playing really cool soloing. They had great note choices, but they didn't lock into the timing of whatever the song was, or the backing track, or the jam was. So I taught them that one concept, and it just floored them. Everyone in the room that wasn't a guitarist just went like, whoa, because they just heard the difference. All of a sudden, the music sounded more soulful. Their note ideas worked beautifully. You will have to back off your note choice slightly because you don't want to go at full capacity of how you play. You've got to back it off a little bit to get used to the timing thing a little bit and adjust. Then you can add in the really tricky riffs and things as well. But it was amazing, the difference. All of a sudden, they sounded like they were pros and they've been playing for 20 years. And I think they probably had been playing 20 years, but they just haven't been playing as much as I had because they were, normal. So that concept was pretty cool. And it was quite cool to watch everybody figure that out at the same time. We did other stuff too, because I can't help but teach when I do stuff. But it was fun just to sit back and listen to how, and be like, whoa, when they're hitting these awesome notes right in the groove. So cool. So it's so important. It's not just note choice, guys, when you're soloing. It's the rhythm that you're using is what I'm trying to say, I guess. So quite a lot of stuff here, right? And I've only covered a couple of concepts. I've talked about learning how to learn a scale shape, that you've got to apply it, learn how to put that in every situation so you can use that to pretty much any song you want to. Now, there are some keys and songs that will go out at very rare. Hotel California is an example where you'll hit a chord and all of a sudden your scale doesn't work anymore. It did at the first chord, and the second chord it doesn't work. That can happen, but we'll tackle that one another day. But it's but then it'll come back again with the next chord. You'll probably be okay. But yeah, want to figure out the chord shapes, how to put them in to work with the song that you've got. Sorry, not chord shapes, scale shapes. Scale shapes, how to put them in, and no matter what song we're doing, getting really good at dancing around that scale shape. And then the last thing is tick-tock and body rock. And if you have those three concepts, you're going to sound amazing. Even if you only ever learn that first pentatonic shape, you are going to sound amazing if you apply those concepts. Break those scales down into like groups of 2 or 3 notes at a time. Don't try and play the whole scale shape when you're soloing. Now, let's look at one more layer to this. So let's say, yeah, I've got it, Mark, I understand this. So, but I'm sure there's some stuff I need to know more than this, but we just apply this and take it one step further, is that you're learning stuff in groups of 3 strings, right? So if we're doing that, and we've done it right throughout the whole neck. So when it comes time to actually soloing, we just take the same concept. Let's say I know that one pentatonic, I always like to use this one pentatonic shape. I'm in B minor here instead of A minor, my typical A minor. So you might be soloing and you'll do a phrase on 3 strings, and then you might jump to another group of 3 strings, do a phrase or 2. Or a riff or 2, jump to another group of 3 strings, phrase or riff in that area. So let's say we've got the same, to make a nice simple groove, just a B minor with an A, B minor, and then in riff, somewhere different. Right, and then out of there, and then somewhere different. Oopsie, I did that really bad. Tick-tocking, body rocking. So you can hear, hopefully you can hear that. If I'm, except for really bad note choice at one point, you can hear this constant timing going on, and the tick, 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 tick. Everyone's head should have been nodding while I was playing that solo, because I was tick-tocking and I was body rocking. But everyone watches what I'm doing, right? What are those notes he's playing? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. If you could tick-tock, body rock, and just own what you're doing, you should be good. So, and I started in those 3 strings, and then when I was there, and then I was, and I was just dancing around the top 2 strings, and I was on to the 4th string, 3rd string. So there's a way of just getting around when you're soloing by yourself. You can jump around the same scale shape, just take bites and then jump off and see how you go and see if you can play another cool riff in another spot. It's not always going to be brilliant when you're practicing this, by the way. Then if you're having an issue sounding too similar with every riff you're doing or a bit boring, there's another idea you can try. So I'm throwing all these ideas. I don't expect you to do all of them today, guys, but you might find one and go, I'm going to use that this week. This is another concept, okay? And that's to do when you're soloing, you've got a backing track on, you're in the right key, you've got your scale shape you're working on. Start by doing this: 1 note, then 2 notes, then 3 notes, then 4 notes, and you can work your way up. I'll give you an example. So the groove might be doing that same groove. Here's no groove, just in the B minor. So I might do 1 note, 2, 3, 4, 1. There's 1 note, and then 2 notes, 2 notes, 3 notes, 3 and 4, 5 notes, 1, that kind of thing, and then go back to 1. So you might literally jump back to 1. So I went to 5 there. You probably only go to 4 notes and then go back to 1 when you're first starting out, because that's quite a lot. So you might do it again: 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 notes, 2, 3, 3 notes, 4 notes, and then 1, 2. It might be another note, and then slide, and then 4 notes, that kind of thing, right? I was walking up and down the scale shape a little bit, but it gets you out of the rut of doing the same thing over and over, because a lot of people will be like, 3, this kind of thing, which is cool for a while, but if you soloed for 10 minutes doing that da 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 rhythm, da 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 every time, it's going to be quite obvious that you're doing too much of that. So try to keep that in mind. This is what this idea is designed to do. You wouldn't do this in a solo live in a concert and be like, okay, 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes, 4 notes. This is to get your subconscious comfortable with the idea of doing different phrasing with small notes, amount of notes, a lot of notes, long notes, little short notes, combinations of them, and just throwing everything in the mix. When your subconscious is comfortable with it, it allows that to happen without too much stress, and it knows how to do it, because we've done it thousands of times in our bedroom, in our studio, in our office, sitting at the computer, going over these riffs and listening to backing tracks or playing with the looper. So you've done it before, and the confidence is there, because when it comes time to actually hitting record in the studio, playing a solo at an open mic night or in front of your mates, you just play the stuff you know really well. Don't go too far. And we don't have to think like that, because you're just doing all the cool riffs that your subconscious is locked away in a vault that just loves, which is what I was doing when I was that kind of thing. So cool. George James got it right way around this time. Are you using the chord scale or the pentatonic? Chord scale or the pentatonic? I'm using the pentatonic in that case. The chord scale is something I would call differently. So the chord scale would be something like when you learn a major scale, you've got like, you'd learn the chords, and that's how I think of it anyway. I'd learn it in A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D, E. You can hear the chords in a scale. You can kind of hear that major scale. Not quite exactly right. I made a little embellishment there. So that's what I would call a chord. My idea of a chord scale is what that is. You might be thinking something different there, George. All right. Any other questions? Nikita's scanning quickly, and she's like, Got a question? Go for it. Oh, look at that. She's so good. She knows what banner to pull up at the right time. So the concept is we're trying to make soloing simple. This is the part where, as a guitar teacher, I watch people's fear when it comes to soloing, and it's like public speaking. That it's like, okay, you need to get up and do a speech now, and that's how people look at soloing. They freak out like it's something that only magicians can do, or it's something kind of magical. And I get it. It's seems to be amazing when you see someone do a guitar solo and they just make it sound so beautiful. How could they possibly, like, is the matrix running down in all numbers and ones and zeros? But it's really not. It's not that at all. It's just they've programmed a scale shape and they've gotten really good at it and they've managed to make it sound like music. Pretty much that's it. So you can do that too, and you can do it straight away. And that's the other thing. It freaks people out when they start doing it and they realize that's sounding good, and that kind of freaks them out. So I bet there's a lot of guitar soloists out there right now that are watching that could be really amazing. And by the way, if you want to, you can always get in touch with me. I'm doing guitar lessons all the time. I love meeting you guys, and you can go and book through either the website or you can go through my Facebook page and you can book a session with me, half-hour session, 1 hour session. That pays the how much you pay is all there. It's all done through Patreon. It's really simple. The calendar is really simple to work out. You don't have to figure out your time where you are. It does it all for you. And I'd love to see your name pop up on my phone and say, hey, look, I'm looking to do a guitar lesson. So that's all done through the form. And so it's something I can help you with because I can actually look at your playing and diagnose it specifically. I would highly recommend that, not just because, yes, it's business for me, but I'd highly recommend that because a lot of people go on with mistakes for so long that they could have easily fixed. And I'll notice straight away if there's something that can simply be changed to add to your playing. It's not scary. It's not like, oh, you've done it all wrong, you're useless. It doesn't happen ever. It's more like I see all the good things you're doing and it's like, cool, we're going to keep those, and what can we fix that might just help you out? And I'll usually go for the biggest thing or the simplest thing that makes the biggest change in your playing early on. So some people just go for one lesson and they just do it. I just diagnose their playing, meaning when I say that, we just like, oh, you've got really good TikTok, you haven't got any body rock. Let's get some of that. Or, oh, you want to do soloing, let's have a look at what you're doing. And then I might just suggest a few ways and help them through and walk through with you, because that's the thing. I'm walking with you on your guitar journey to help you as we do it together. It's not like, here you go, good luck, come back when you've got that. It's more like, let's do this, and we do it together, and we go through and we play through that together. Really cool way of doing stuff. I've met some amazing people through that. Some of you guys that are on the chat and that are watching, you know what I'm talking about because you've actually had a lesson. And yeah, I highly recommend it. Just even if it's just a diagnosis, we just look at what needs to be fixed. We give you a list of stuff to work on, and I'll see you next time. If the time doesn't work out, you can actually do a video message. So that means you can just send me a quick video message and it can be like, hey, Mark, here's my playing. This is what I do. This is what I'm having issues with. And I can send a video message back. It's a lot cheaper. And you can be at the completely other side of the world in another time zone that doesn't work with me. And then I can just get up in the morning and see it there and go, cool, I'll answer it. And we can do it that way. So there's lots of ways of doing it. Doesn't matter who you are. Any other question? I saw that question there, Katie. Well done. Candy girl. I'm struggling learning how to play the guitar. I don't really have a path, okay, in quotation marks. I just follow the tutorials of the songs I want to play. Am I doing the right thing, or should I follow a path? Yeah, good question. So the classic YouTube learner, right? You're just doing what you love, which is actually really important, Candy. So I imagine that's actually your name, Candy. It might not be. We'll call you Candy. So because it's a YouTube name, right? It could be anything. You could put anything you want in there. So it's great that you're learning what you're loving to learn. So I would, though, recommend, because you're going to have what I call holes, if I put the quotation marks in there, holes in your playing. And that's not just because I'm a guitar teacher and I think you should. There's parts where your confidence will be down. And I think that's why you asked this question, is because your confidence will be out because you think, oh, I'm sure there's stuff I'm not knowing. And there's things you're learning and you go, yeah, I know how to play Red Hot Chili Peppers, whatever song, or I don't need to know, I can do this Nirvana song, or I can do the Cat Stevens song, and I can do the intro from this. And you're learning sporadic stuff, but not really knowing how they connect and how they are all integrated. So, and that sounds like a lot, but I can actually help. That's with guitar lessons, I can help fill in some of those blanks and help you understand how they wrote that song, for example. This could be a cool thing, or how they used those chords and why they worked, or we can help you understand how they got the solo to that, or these sort of things we can learn along the way. So it's kind of cool What's amazing is that you're doing exactly what you love, because that's important. That builds up your song repertoire. But there's another part of your playing which you just need to do a little bit of understanding. Not a lot. You don't need to go and understand theory, like crazy amounts of theory. I don't believe that, at least. If you love theory, then you should get into theory. But I'm thinking you're probably the same as me and you don't love theory, yet it'd be kind of cool to understand how they chose those notes in the song. And then you learn a scale shape and you go, oh, it's just the notes from that scale that they were doing. That kind of stuff gives you massive confidence, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel better about what I'm playing. So that's the more important part, is to make sure you're feeling good about your playing. So I would do, probably in your case, you're probably already you're learning 100% whatever you want, doing the learning songs. And then you got something like this. I'm talking about scales, and you're going, should I even learn scales? I think, yeah, you should probably just learn one scale shape and get good at soloing with one scale shape. That's simple. You could do that in a session, pretty much, 1 or 2 sessions. Meaning, so you sitting down and playing guitar. And then if you love it, you'll carry on with more. But it's nice to have a little bit, so you've got an intro for it. I think of jiu-jitsu as an example. Like, I love jiu-jitsu. I love no-gi jiu-jitsu. So that's like the UFC guys train, like with rash vests and things like that. Not necessarily the big baggy white pants and big baggy gi, we call it. I just don't enjoy the gi. Other people are purists. They love the gi. There's other dudes. You got to try it, right? I had the gi, and I like a little bit of stuff with gi, but I mostly like stuff with without gi. So let's give you an example that I can think of recently, where it's nice to actually do something, try it, and then have the amount that you like added into your playing. So hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions out there? That was a good question, by the way. It's a really good thing to think about. It's my number one reason that you should be getting lessons, guys, is that you want to fill in those gaps, because your confidence grows amazingly when you know you can play anything. Uniquely Extra, I love you're just smashing me with questions today, Uniquely, and I love this. What 3-note chunks do you suggest a beginner to start with? Cool. So if I was learning the pentatonic scale, the first one, as an example, I'd probably start with the high strings and 6 notes. And then I'd start with that. And then once you're sick of that, you'd go to the next 3 strings. So it'd be, like I said, then it'll be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th strings. So there's another group of 6 notes, right? And then you've got the next group of 3 strings, those 6 notes. So that might be week 3, or it might be day 3, depending on how bored you are of it. And you got the last one, all right? So don't forget the top string as well. So you've got all groups of 3 strings. So that way you get really good. You get good at finding notes within that period, or that little area. So great question, and I'm assuming from that Uniquely Extra that you're excited about learning these scales in this way, because that's what it sounds like. You're like, right, let's do this. What do I do? Where do I start? Which is awesome. It's a love. I love that. I love that. Candy Girl. Exactly. I'm a self-taught beginner. I use YouTube a lot. I'll watch out for your vids. Thank you for clearing things up. No problem. So Candy, I do a lot of stuff. If you go back to my earlier stuff, especially on the basics of guitar, and you might want to flick through some of that. And it could be a little bit boring because it's initially quite basic, but I'm sure there'll be nuggets in there that you never thought of that you'll be able to add to your playing. Not so much the chord shape parts, but when it comes to like how to hold a pick, strumming patterns, how to tick-tock. These sort of things are kind of important and are going to give you a lot of confidence if you've never done that. Andrew Marriott, if you was playing a sequence of, say, C, G, A minor, F, C, how do you know what riff to play over each chord? I hope that makes sense. Good question. So I would recommend that once you're in a key like that, and so here's my chords, let's say I'm playing them at the end, C, G, A minor, F, C. Well, I want to keep my riff here, right? And if you look at my riffs, combining riffs videos, there's probably one about maybe 2 months ago that was first released, and it was in the key of C, which worked out good for this particular sequence. And I'd start with one riff and how to add that in to and it's because you don't need to do 1,000 riffs. You're probably in a chord. If I was playing a song, let's say it's just those chords, which is Imagine or No Woman, No Cry or whatever. Lots of songs use those chords, right? Especially the way I'm playing it. And so the riff, I just do one riff. That little riff I did there. Start with one riff, which is just or like a little hammer on. See, I'm only playing 2 or 3 notes, tops, because you don't want to do a lot. Otherwise, you're going to be like, otherwise, like it's just too much. You need to be covering the chord with a little embellishment. So in that case, we're in the key of C major. So you might want to learn the whole C major scale there. Like, so you got a lot of notes to choose from, but decide on a one riff. Get good at putting that in. Usually at the back end of a bar. Then if you get bored of that, 2 riffs or one other riff, and then chop and change between the 2. So you might have a riff, first riff, and let's say it's that one. So you got, and so you got. I'm just going to throw it. Kind of, and then you can build on that. I'm through a different one at the end, but that was basically 2 riffs in there. And each time the chord changes, the riff sounds different. So it's not like people are gonna be bored of your riff because you've only done one riff. Because each time the chord is different, the riff feels different, even though it's the same group of notes in the same place. So keep it simple, Andrew. Thank you. No worries. That's awesome. And then once you get bored of that, get more complex, add more stuff. I had already subscribed to your channel, but I never looked at any of your videos. This is the first time. I'll now look at your videos and practice what you've suggested here. Hey, no worries. Thanks for your honesty, mate. Uniquely extra. And let's have you uniquely playing guitar within some awesome solos and stuff as well. Sean, the best thing I ever did was cut down learning songs. Just so this is a bit of advice, goes back to Candy. Learning songs in brackets. I started just playing chords in a key. This way I learned how keys worked, and I feel I can make stuff up now. Really good point, Sean. So if you are, and I called them noodlers, I'm a noodler. I pick up the guitar. I very rarely play a famous song or anything well known. If I'm just playing guitar, I'm usually searching for chords that I like together, and I'll noodle. And just like you said, Sean, learn a whole bunch of chords in a key when there's only pretty much 6 or 7 chords in a key generally, and you can add more to it. But you got 6, there's those nerds out there that are going, well, actually pushing their glasses up their face. But generally you can start with that and then getting really good at a key. So in the key of C, you've actually covered that. If you look at uniquely extras chords there, we've got C, G, A minor, F. We're all part of the C major. So we've got C. We didn't do missing a D minor and E minor, but just about everything else is in there. There's an A minor, and it's pretty much all the chords bar 2 or 3 we're missing from that. So you just about had a key anyway. And then you'll find, oh, wow, songs are in keys, and they generally use all the chords or a couple of chords from that key. And so you're able to get your confidence up, just like Sean was saying, how you can get your confidence up going between those chords. Because you've done them 1,000 times, you've already learnt those chords within a key. And I'd recommend that as well. If you've got the time, just to be able to go, okay, this week I'm working on, here's a good example. So this week I'm going to be playing pentatonic scale shape, and I'm going to learn the key of C major. And then how do I do that for the week? That's literally what you do. All the chords in C major, play riffs, try and make stuff up in C major using all the different chords, try picking chords out, putting chords in, and then you play the soloing against it. So how do I solo in the key of C major? Well, my chords are all here, but I want to learn I want to do the first pentatonic shape. Well, C is on the top string is right here. And so if you're using our pentatonic and it's C major, what we know is little finger. We haven't done this today, by the way, but the little finger is on, I'm going to put my little finger on the C note, on the top note, and that gets my position for my first pentatonic shape for major. This is for major, not minor. So major, minor, I'll put my first finger on there, and it would make C minor sound really cool, pentatonic. That same shape, if I put my little finger on it, this for major, little finger on the C, all those notes now work. So now I can learn, I'm learning all the key, I'm learning in the key of C. I might record something in that key and then go to the scale. Doing some soloing to it. So then we're combining all the stuff together. These are all just ideas. You don't have to do any of them, but that could be a cool way of looking at that. Anyway, guys, I've gone over time. and hopefully you've gotten something out of that. And so thank you so much. I look at the comments there. It's just been nuts. You guys have been going nuts with those. Thank you so much for the great questions, guys. I love that you do this. Let's do this again next week, shall we? And I can't wait to bring you some videos from our new place that we're going to be moving to. We've sold here. We're going to be moving in a few weeks' time. Can't wait to see you in that environment. Maybe give you a bit of a tour at some point too. But yeah, otherwise, you know, my Patreon. If you guys are wanting some more riffs and things to help out with this sort of stuff, the tabs for some of my lessons, or most of my lessons, are in there. We've got, we're building the new videos just for you guys on Patreon. I usually give you a riff and maybe a fingerstyle pattern for each week, and then we work on that for the week, or you can work on that for the week. And then there's always something fresh in there, just a small little snippet of something so you can get your fingers into it. So hopefully that helps. Can't wait to see you guys again real soon. Martin the Guitar Guy signing off. Go awesomeize yourself. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Awesome. Cheers.